Yo, what is going on, everyone? Thank you for checking out the channel today. Today we are going to be looking at Incineroar EX. This EX was actually like one of my favorites to be coming out of the Temporal Forces set. One, because I just really like Incineroar. I've always loved Incineroar. He was my go-to starter for Sun and Moon. And second, because I actually think he's got some really cool like deck building aspects, because he has some bulk to him. He's 320 HP EX, and then his attack for 5 energies does 240 damage, but the opponent's active is now burned after you use it, which effectively means you're doing 260 damage. Now at face value, you would look at that attack cost and be like, there's no way that this card is good, right? Like, how are we putting 5 energies on this? But that's where his ability comes into play. So his ability, Hustle Play, says that attacks used by this Pokemon cost 1 colorless less for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, which means that if your opponent has 4 bench Pokemon, you can use Blaze Blast for 1 energy, which makes it way more appealing as a 1 energy 260 rather than a 5 energy 260. And critically enough, it says attacks used by this Pokemon, not this Pokemon's attacks. So he actually does work with like the TMs, if I'm understanding correctly. So you could play more TMs like TM Blindside, TM Crisis Punch, which are all things I've considered. I haven't explored it. I wanted to keep the list very simplistic for right now before I started exploring those kind of options. But the idea of Incineroar being able to Crisis Punch in the late game for 0 energies is really funny to me. So I might look into that. But yeah, so that's one really cool aspect about Incineroar. But we are pairing Incineroar with Relicanth, which is another one of my favorite cards to come out of the new set. I really like the kind of implications that Relicanth can have on your deck building. Being able to allow your evolution Pokemon to use the attacks of their previous evolutions is really cool. And so the main reason why we are playing Relicanth with Incineroar is because of this Litten. So this Litten has the Reprisal attack, which for 2 fire energies lets you do 20 times the amount of damage counters on this Pokemon. And because we're going to be using it with Incineroar, Incineroar has 320 HP versus Litten's 70 HP. And so if you get hit by something like a Charizard EX for 180 damage, if you have the 2 fires and the Relicanth, you can use Reprisal for 360 damage and one-shot the Charizard, which I think is absolutely hilarious, and I think it's really good. I actually did just recently take this to my local Saturday league, and I did end up going 2-1. I played against 2 Charizards and a Turbo Hands. The first Charizard I did lose to because I kind of couldn't draw well in the end game, but I was set up to win, and I was, having a pretty good early game. And then the second Charizard, we just did the reprisal thing. I took 4 prizes with 1 Incineroar because my opponent stumbled and missed the turn, so that was really cool. And then, funny enough, Turbo Hands is actually like an insanely good matchup for Incineroar, because you just trade so favorably. Like, you can take 4 prizes with 1 Incineroar, and even if they try to amp you with a 2-shot and take 3 prizes, you're still ahead on the prize exchange. And even if they try to sack off a Miraidon that power up a Hands, that's still a 3 for 3. So Incineroar actually trades very well into the Turbo Hands deck, which I think is just absolutely hilarious. And yeah, so since we do have the Relicanth in here, we should highlight this Torracat. I'm choosing to play this Torracat over the other Torracat because the other Torracat has 80 HP, which I didn't like because it can get sniped by Greninja. And then the main selling point behind that Torracat is its second attack, which for 2 fire energies does 40 damage. And then if you are at full health and you would be knocked out by damage from an attack, you would live with 10 HP, which is really cool to use on Incineroar because it means you would have 310 HP or damage on you, and then you could copy Reprisal for 620 damage, which is cool. But because Incineroar EX is so bulky, he's more than likely going to be taking 2 hits. So he's not really ever going to have full HP and be threatened. And it's also really awkward to use that Torracat's attack because most of the time you're really only going to have 1 fire energy on Incineroar at a time. And then you will attach the second one once you are attacking with the Litten's attack. So having to dedicate 2 fire energies to use Torracat first really isn't efficient. And so I just went with this Torracat because it actually does synergize with the Incineroar's ability, because it Incineroar could use Flare Strike for 1 energy, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but it can come up in certain instances. You could also another reason why I really like this Torracat is because it has Bite for 30 for 1 fire, which means that if Incineroar does get hit by something, by like a Roaring Moon EX, you can actually use Torracat to come in and use Bite to finish that Incineroar off, kind of like how Charizard uses his Charmeleons to finish off Roaring Moons. We're kind of going with the same idea here with Torracat. And then, speaking of Charizard, we do have this list kind of based off of a Bibzard. So we are choosing to play the Bibarels with the TM Evolutions and the Arvens. Relatively standard package here. You know, we have the 2-2 Bibarel and the Squovet. However, we are choosing to play the 1 Bibarel from Pokemon Go. Now, this Bibarel is in here for the Reassuring Dam ability, which says that as long as this Pokemon is on your bench, cards in your deck cannot be discarded by the effects of your opponent's attacks, abilities, items, or supporters. And this is basically just in here for Great Tusk. Incineroar doesn't have like the worst time. Scratch that, he does. He has a pretty bad time against Great Tusk because they can play with like 2 or 3 Pokemon in play, which can make it really hard for you to use Blaze Blast. And so oftentimes, you know, maybe 1 Great Tusk can get like 2 mills out. So it's really nice to have this Bibarel in here to kind of give us a chance against Tusk. You know, they can counter catcher this up and turn off the ability because this does only work while it's on the bench. But this is at least kind of a chance, right? And then, yeah, other than that, the only other Pokemon that we do play is the Manaphy. Realistically, you probably can get away without playing this because, you know, the Torracats do have 100 HP, so they actually live Manaphy, and it's actually really funny if, like, you have 2 Torracats that get hit with Moonlight Shuriken. If you evolve into Incineroar and have the Relicanth down, you can reprisal for 180 damage, which is enough to, you know, like, retaliate and kill the Greninja, but depending on the matchup, it is enough to, you know, put on some decent amount of pressure. So I have considered not playing this Manaphy anymore, but because we do have some bench sitters like Squovet and Litten, I am choosing to still play it for right now, but I could see it coming out. And then the Radiant of choice we are playing is Radiant Charizard. It's really funny to be playing Radiant Charizard and Incineroar in the same deck because they pretty much do the same damage and have the same ability. It's just that Charizard is a 1-prizer, Incineroar is a 2-prizer stage 2. So using Charizard in the late game can kind of help offset the prizes and, you know, kind of give us that chance to come back depending on how the game went in the mid game. And then the supporters that we're playing are just 4 Iono, 4 Arven, and 2 Boss. It's relatively standard at this point for like a Bibarel engine deck. I did think about playing something like a Cypher Maniac or, you know, maybe an extra boss, something like that, but this is the supporter lineup I went with. It is kind of light, so if you don't get the Bibarel set up, you can kind of fumble in the mid game, and that is actually what happened in that round 1 of my locals. I just couldn't draw what I needed in the late game, so adding additional draw supporters definitely could be something to look into. And then in this video, we are going to be playing Magma Basin. I did try this without Magma Basin, at locals, and I was indifferent about it. It is kind of cute because like you can magma base into Litten a couple times to power up Reprisal and use Litten as a one prizer in certain matchups, which I have done before. But it was mainly in here as just like a way to get extra energies on Incineroar if your opponent was trying to like play with a small bench. But in testing, it worked and it didn't. So this is another kind of flex spot for right now. I do like it, so I can't really think of anything else. Like these could easily come out for like the 2 Cypher Maniacs or like a Cypher Maniac and a Research or something like that, because we are, you know, playing the Bibarel engine, so Cypher is pretty cool. And then we are playing the 2 TM Evolutions. We are, you know, going second TM Evolution Arven deck, so we just got these in here to help make sure we don't prize one and we can get off that crucial TM Evolution turn. And then we are going heavy on the Pokemon Surge, so we have 4 Poffin, 4 Nest Ball, and 4 Ultra Ball. Like I said, I wanted to keep this list pretty bog standard right now, so we just have like maximum consistency as like a starting point. I could easily see these numbers changing around, like maybe dropping a Nest Ball or 2, you know, more supporters, another Rare Candy, another Vessel, another Switch. So this list by all means definitely still has room for improvement, but even in its kind of infancy right now, it is actually a pretty powerful deck. And then, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we are only playing the 2 Rare Candies because we're playing the 2 Team Evolutions and the Heavy Stage 1 lines. We do have 2 Super Rod in here as ways to recover the energies and our Pokemon. We have 1 Vessel as a way to help supplement the Arven turn. So like if we open up a couple Pokemon, we can Arven for the Vessel and the TM, so that way we guarantee the energy. We are playing 1 Counter Catcher, again, because we are a heavy Arven build. So rather than playing 3 boss, having the 1 Counter Catcher that we can grab off of Arven is effectively like playing 7 boss instead of just 3 hard bosses. Granted, Counter Catcher will not always be live, but I don't necessarily think that we're going to be complaining if we are not behind on prizes. And then we are playing 1 Switch. This is a card that I definitely want to play more of. I've encountered a lot of people that like to boss stall Bibarel, so having a second Switch is really nice. It's also really cool with like Radzard. If he ends up living, you can you know, reset the Radzard. I have thought about playing like a rescue board in here as well, because if we have like Squoven on the bench, he just becomes a free pivot, but or the, like the Relicanth or the Manaphy, but everything else has like a 2 retreat, so the rescue board just didn't really seem good. There is the potential to play something like Jet Energy as well, which could be really cute if you do keep the Magma Basins in, because you could have like an Incineroar on the bench, Basin, Jet Energy, and now you have 2 energies on this, which means that like if your opponent again has like a smaller bench, you can still get off the Blaze Blitz attack. We're playing 1 Heavy Ball because we do have some pretty crucial like 1 of basic Pokemon, and then just getting more Littens and Bidoof is never a bad thing. And as far as the energies go, we are playing 6 Fighting. We don't, or 6 Fire energy. We don't really need a ton of energies because of Incineroar's ability. So 6 is felt okay. We do have the 1 Mist energy in here as well, because Incineroar can take colorless energies depending on your opponent's bench size. Having the 1 Mist energy in here is really nice because it means you have some protection against something like Incineroar or not Incineroar, Roaring Moon, or Giratina V-Star's Star Requiem, which are indeed problems for Incineroar because they're like ways around what Incineroar is trying to do. So having the 1 Mist energy as protection is definitely really nice. And then the A-spec of choice is actually Neo Upper Energy. Right now this is just experimental, because there's a really cute interaction where you can put the Neo Upper Energy on Incineroar, which means it will count as a double rainbow because it is attached to a stage 2, but then it'll allow Incineroar to use Litten's Reprisal for the 2 fire energies, so you can effectively use Litten for 1 energy attachment. And it is technically a double energy, which again helps supplement the downside of your opponent playing with a small bench. So it is a cute idea. I could easily see it coming out for something like Prime Catcher. I think Prime Catcher is a really good addition for a deck like this. I could also see it being Maximum Belt, because Maximum Belt with Incineroar means that if you hit into something like Charizard, you'll hit them for 290 and 310 with the burn, which means that if they end up not healing the burn, they will get KO'd on the crackback. So it kind of forces them to make some tough decisions. It also, lets you one-shot Gardevoir EX, which is kind of cute. But other than that, it doesn't really do much because you're already one-shotting like the basic EXs. You could play something like the Cape, give you more HP. It won't really do much as far as like using Reprisal, but it will at least give you more longevity, which Incineroar with longevity sounds dangerous, so I could easily see Cape being good in here as well. But my next go-to ace spec would definitely be Prime Catcher. But yeah, guys, that was the deck profile on the Incineroar deck that we are going to be using today. If you do enjoy this kind of content, make sure you do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and then go ahead and leave me a comment down below telling me who your favorite starter is from the Sun and Moon era. Mine is definitely Incineroar, but Decidueye is a very, very close second. I really love Incineroar and Decidueye. I was never the biggest fan of Primarina, but not to say I don't like Primarina, she was just my least favorite of the three. But yeah, guys, that was the deck profile, and then I'm going to go ahead and see you guys in the gameplay. Alrighty, guys, we did get our opponent for the day. Looks like we are playing someone who just freshly came into the Master Ball tier, which is always nice. They are using the Iron Leaves coin, and most people online like to correlate their coins and stuff. So if they are playing some form of Future Box, that's actually going to be like really good for us, because that's a very good matchup from what I've tested. Hopefully we get a good start and we can do something. Trend always continues. I always start Torracat when I go second. Fortunately, we do have the Iono. Okay. They are playing some future variant. It's probably just Turbo Hands. But this matchup is actually really interesting because if we can get the Relicanth down, we can actually use one Incineroar to trade for 2 hands, which is why this matchup is like decently good. We're gonna go Bib, Machine, Iono. Just give me a Poffin and a Fire Energy, please, and we will be having a good game. We did not get the Fire Energy. It is so risky for me to full send with the Squovet, but I really want to. Like, I already have the Bibarel in my hand. I would have to draw exactly an energy. There's no way it's correct. All of the energy are in the deck. The Vessel won't even do it. It has to be one of the 8 energies. I'm not gonna do it. I'm too afraid. Yeah, so now we need to find the upper energy and a rare candy. This is going to get really bad for us. Although I guess the benefit is they're most likely only going to be taking 1 prize this turn, which does give us the advantage of not like setting up the greatest, if that makes sense. So ideally they're probably going to hit into us with a Miraidon. They're going to set up the hands, and then we would like to probably get rare candy, Incineroar, upper energy, counter catcher, the hands. Although they currently don't have enough Pokemon on the bench for us to take, or for us to use the Incineroar. And they are playing the build that has the Iron Leaves in it. Okay. Beaverell. I mean, I have no reason not to evolve the active. So right now, this is attacking for 3 energies. We're gonna Nest Ball for Squovet. We prize the Relicanth. I don't want to use the counter catcher yet because there's little to no way for me to one-shot this hands this turn. We hit an Iono, which is kind of cute. We're gonna go for the incisors before the Iono to see. Those cards were not good, so I'm actually happy that I'm putting all these cards at the bottom of my deck. Our opponent very clearly knows what Incineroar does, I'm assuming, because they purposely like left that bench spot open. Yeah, we are like not. Yeah, not getting off the TM evolution like really hurts, because now we're just like really reliant on finding everything. The opponent is gonna poke into us with the Miraidon once again, set up the other hands, I'm assuming. Although now, if we get another fire energy, we can boss KO one of the hands. Wow, they just hit 3 energies off of 2 generators. That's insane. And they hit the Mew. Okay, that Iono was insane for them. Although, actually, now we can attack for 1 energy. So I am going to boss KO that Iron Hands. He's going for the Prime Catcher. Is he going to kill the Beebro? Okay. That's like really annoying, but it's honestly fine. Because we could just like, no, we don't want it. Well, I mean, we can Arven this turn actually, which is nice. I am gonna Arven for the Super Rod and none of the tools apparently. So we prize the other TM. Because I have a turn, right? I have a turn to set this up. Because this will be able to take 2 knockouts. Yeah, I'm going to go for the Super Rod. For all the beavers. And then we're going to Nest Ball for 1 of them. We also haven't seen a single Poff in this entire game, which is kind of crazy. So we're going to go for the 1-shot on this hands. And if I had to imagine, those are literally the 2 prizes that we knew. So we gained no new information off of those prizes. I would have to imagine that we're probably going to get poked by the Incineroar, or by the Miraidon into the Incineroar. Although this could be really good for us, because they did bench another Pokemon. So now, if they like don't get a new Iron Hands, then we just boss KO this and they're out of attackers. So yeah, there's potential for this to be like really good for us. Oh, they hit the research. That's crazy. They hit 2 researchers off that Mew. That's so insane. Excuse me. Yeah, now this gets really weird for us because now they can start putting energies on this second hands. Oh, I think we win. They're down 2 generators. It might have been bold of me to assume that we win, but I am just gonna go for this. And I don't want to put the Relicanth down, so I'm just gonna go for the 240. If they can power up the other hands, then good on them. I also realized my misplay there. I should have Arvened for the counter catcher and kept the boss, because then I would have had the response. That was really bad on my end, actually. That actually has the potential to lose us the game. Roxanne. And of course we hit the Ultra Ball. So we have the Torracat and a fire energy. He did hit a super rod off the Roxanne, which is tough. Although he did attach here. I don't know why. Like, he 100% should have just attached here, because now he needs 2 energies for this to amp. Okay, and we hit Arven, which gives us Bibarel. But we have to lose a Torracat and a fire. Oh, I don't have to lose the Torracat because I got the TM. Okay, so I'm going to Arven for Ultra Ball and the TM. And then how many energies do I have left? Okay. They did use their Prime Catcher, right? They did. Okay. So we're going to Ultra Ball away the TM and the fire. Go grab Bibarel. Evolve into Bibarel. Evolve into Torracat. Go Incisors for 5. So let's see. How do we lose? They didn't play any generators on their last turn. They're also down 8 electrics. This list only plays 11 electric. So in order for him to win, he would need to I mean, this is always going here. I'm just debating on like the switch into like the Toric or the Litten, because then he would need boss as well. But then that also just gives him the way to even out the prize, which means I need boss. Whereas if I go here, he has to promote the Mew, attach, hit 1 off of generator. Off of a 15 card deck. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I don't know if that was correct. I 100% should have used that counter catcher in the previous turn. So yeah, we lose to attach, hit off of generator. Well, there's the Arven for the generator. Generator baton. Alright. He whiffed the generator. That's massive. Why didn't you play the Techno Radar beforehand? My guy. Oh, he had the boss too. That's crazy. Okay, so there was just no Pokemon left. That makes sense. So the 4th crown is either in the hand or is prized. Oh, he had the hand attached too. So yeah, he just needed the 1 hit off the generator. Nest ball. Grab the 4th crown. So we're hoping to Mew into the last generator and to hit off of it. We're just going for the arm press. Alright. So all we need is a way to Incineroar. And we got it. Absolutely insane game. Alrighty, guys. So we did take down the big bad turbo hands with Incineroar. So as you can see, yeah, the massive HP is kind of a problem for hands to deal with. And if we can like get the initiative, because of the fact that they have to fill up their bench. I mean, they don't have to fill up their bench, but they're like incentivized to fill up the bench a little bit. So if we can get the initiative and, you know, take a KO on an Iron Hands with the 240 attack, then they hit into us and we have the chance to either hit them for another 240 or use the Relicanth to copy the Litten and, you know, KO him that way. However, that is a matchup where you really don't need the Relicanth. If you can just, you know, slap 1 energy on there and do 240, that's really where Incineroar shines. So that game was a ton of fun. I'm super happy Incineroar got to show off what he is made of against the big bad of the format. So if you guys did enjoy that video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and then go ahead and leave me down below a comment of who your favorite Gen 8 starter is. Gen 7? Gen 7, I believe. The Alola region. I'm pretty sure that's Gen 7, actually. My favorite from that generation actually is Incineroar. I do really like Decidueye, but Incineroar has always been my favorite because I am a pro wrestling fan, and there is nothing cooler than a fire cat that also can wrestle. So I always loved Incineroar. Alrighty, guys. I'll see you in the next video.